All right. Good evening, lovely, lovely people. I am Patrick Brown. I am the chair of Legislative District 11 Democrats, and I want to welcome you to our June LD meeting. We got a lot of great information to cover tonight, and as always, we appreciate you guys taking some time out of just your busy days and things like that to stay in the know with everything going on with our amazing district. So I just want to, if this is your first meeting, like always like to go over the meeting norms. If this is like your 1000th meeting, you've heard this a lot of times, you pretty much know how this works, but we just have some pretty straightforward meeting norms. First thing is if you are recognized to speak, if you're on the agenda or I recognize you to say something. If you're able to pop on your camera, please do so. We like to see who's talking. Otherwise, if you want to keep it on, awesome. If you want to turn it off during the meeting, that's fine too. We also ask that you make sure that you have that mute button muted, like I said, unless you're recognized to speak. We want to, make sure that, any of our speakers or whatnot don't have kind of, any, background sounds or anything going on that, might throw them off. Also, if you have any questions at all about anything we cover or questions for a speaker or anything like that, please put those in the chat. It might be, we ask you just to unmute and ask that question, but again, just put it in the chat. We'll also, with any links or anything that we share tonight, we're going to make sure we try and get those in the chat as we go through. If not, we record these meetings, and our monthly newsletter that comes out after the meeting will come out on Sunday will contain all the links and actually even a re-air of this meeting. So if you miss anything we say, you miss a link or something like that, don't sweat it. We've got you covered. All right. Speaking of things to do, we have the meeting agenda. We'll get that dropped into the chat here in just a moment. But like I said, if you want to follow along at home with our agenda, you'll be able to do that at this link. We'll get that dropped in the chat here momentarily. All right, let's get into officer reports. Got a couple of several announcements going on here. First thing I want to hit on is that Juneteenth is coming up. And if you're not familiar with Juneteenth, Juneteenth is a holiday. It's a holiday within the African-American, the Black community, and it signifies the point in which African Americans discovered that slavery was over, and so this was the celebration that took place. And recently, I think last year, it became a federal holiday. President Biden, signed it as a federal holiday, and so even before all this happened, there have been Juneteenth celebrations taking place in the city of Phoenix for a number of years. One of the original ones, I would say one of the largest ones, happens at Eastlake Park, and so we're going to have a table at this event. It's going to be running from 5 to 10 p.m. Like I said, because it's hot, and I've done Juneteenth during the day. I'm excited about it being from 5 to 10 p.m. And so we're also going to be partnering with our fellow LD5. So we're going to be sharing that particular tent and table. We're going to be doing things like voter registration, getting information out about the upcoming primary, letting folks know what we do, get people engaged with with the Democratic Party, with the LD. One of the reasons why we're partnering with LD5 is, one, they're a bunch of really awesome people, but also Eastlake Park actually kind of borders the LD11 and LD5. Like, our northern border of the LD is in that area, and LD5 southern borders in that area. So we have a lot of kind of cross traffic with people who will be there. So if you are available to volunteer, we have multiple shifts available. We're kind of doing them in like 2-hour shifts, but we're flexible. So we'll drop the sign-in link for you to sign up for a volunteer shift. Also, if you're not able to volunteer, please come out. It's a great, fun, family-friendly event. Come out, come say hi, volunteer for a minute, wink, wink. We'd love to see you. Additionally, Mission for Arizona, one of the coordinated campaign groups. They're going to be doing a weekend of action with us on June 25th. It's going to be a canvas lit drop. That's going to be taking place on the 25th from 9 to noon. So again, we'll drop that link into the chat for you guys if you're interested in signing up for that. I know we've got Amber Cruz with Miss for Arizona. She's here. She'll be talking a little bit more detail about it as well. So I will ruin the fun for her. Okay, volunteers. Remember, with making what we do happen. Like I said, it's a people powered organization, and so as an LD, the board, we're looking for some folks to step up into some leadership opportunities within the LD. We're looking for right now specifically 3 kind of leadership and positions that we would love to have someone step into these roles. Again, there's training. If you've never done some of this stuff before, you're not going to be kind of just left off in your lonesome. We will make sure that you get the training and guidance so you can be successful in these roles. The first one is we're looking for a communications chair. With that role, this will be someone who will help manage our social media, help manage our LD newsletter. As we're finishing up the website and getting that all done, the job of this will be kind of just helping just keep the website up to date. We have a webmaster who will kind of handle like the heavy lifting. This is just ensuring that everything's up to date and that everything's working, that type of stuff. And then MCDP has a really awesome committee. It's called the SMAC committee, but it stands for the Social Media and Communications Committee. Really awesome. It's a collection of of media folks, communication chairs, PCs, like all you guys, volunteers like you guys that meet once a month and they share ideas. And really, they have a really awesome online channel as well, where folks can communicate and ask questions. A really supportive group. So if it's something you don't know how to do or whatnot, it's a very helpful, great environment. So if you are interested in this, please contact me, send me an email, and we can talk more. The next one is our van share. If you're not familiar with van is, for those of you who have ever, done, if you do your PC list, or I know those of you who run for office or are current electeds, all about van. This is the system in which we are able to generate the locations of voters in our district, Democrats, independents, and everything in between. The thing is, this is a really, really powerful system, and we do need someone who is willing to kind of be the one that manages the system. What it would consist of is primarily cutting lists for, canvases, for PCs, so they know who the Democrats are in their particular precincts, those type of things. With the training, the state party provides regular and ongoing training for folks to get well versed in utilizing van. So if you've never used van before, or you're kind of like intimidated by the whole idea, don't worry. Nobody knows how to use it. No, I'm kidding. It is a very robust system, and there's a lot of training. And I would say that if you're comfortable using Excel or basic database systems, then you're already in a really good space to utilize van. If you don't know what any of that stuff is, you can still learn how to utilize van. It's like I said, it's one of those things where you kind of have to have a little bit of training, and then you can kind of really take off with it. The last one is a liaison for the MCDP voter registration committee. So the voter registration committee, you're going to see them a lot. They're actually going to be joining us at Juneteenth. Their job is to register voters, and they do it year round, rain, shine, sleet or snow. Whenever it snows in Phoenix, that'd be kind of cool. But they are really, really active in that. And so they have a huge volunteer base because, it's a pretty big effort. So what they're asking for is for someone from LD11 to be a liaison from the RLD to this committee. That would be either, helping volunteer to do voter registration in our district or other districts. It's also when they're doing events, they like to kind of know where to go. And so you would kind of be the point of contact. They're saying, hey, we're going to do a voter registration event in South Phoenix. Where's a good location for us to set up and do this? So you may not necessarily be directly involved, but you might be helping to find a prime spot to do that. Also, you'd be working with Dave Braun, our first vice chair, and our LD's voter registration planning and organization and things like that. So again, if you have questions, if you want to know more about these things, if you're interested, if you're just kind of apprehensive and you need, that gentle push, please reach out to me and I'll be happy to sit down and we can talk about all the details and everything like that. And again, it's a team effort. Don't feel like you just be kind of left twisting in the wind to do this by yourself. These just kind of expanding some of the operations of the LD. All right. Apologize, my report's a little long because I got a lot of stuff to cover, at least on my end as chair. So next thing up is, as you guys probably saw, the summer convention for MCDP is taking place on this, I think the 25th of Saturday. So yes, the 25th of June. One of the big items that's happening at this convention is that we are making changes to the county bylaws. Something that we chairs were asked to do were to review these bylaw changes at our LD meetings, just so you guys are aware. So to give you guys just kind of some context of how this is going to go down, I'm going to try my hardest to refrain from putting in any of my own personal commentary in these things. I'm just going to kind of go what's on the page. If you have questions, go ahead and put them in the chat. Like I said, I may not answer all of them, just depending on how deep the question is, because I just may not be a question I should be answering, because like I said, I didn't write any of this stuff. However, if you do hear something with this that you're kind of going, I got a question about, or I want more information, or I kind of want to address this further, then there will be a meeting that's taking place. It's a virtual meeting. It's happening on June 22nd at 6 p.m. where Democrats can go and voice whatever comments or concerns or whatnot with these bylaw changes prior to the summer convention. And like I said, this is where, like, if you want to try and get any changes or adjustments before it goes in front of all the PCs, this would be that opportunity. Also, if you want to see the current bylaws, we have a link for that. We'll drop all that stuff in the chat here in just a moment. You guys can still see my screen, right? I'll take that silence as yes. All right. So kind of give you an overview of what is going to be happening is that the first one is going to be updating the procedures for removal of a PC from office. The next part I'll talk about is the updated language for our affirmative action, the phrase affirmative action that's within the bylaws. It's going to be an operational thing. It'll be a name change to parliamentarian. Designee for annual budget presentation. We see update standing committees, update language regarding open meeting law, and we see clarification of approval process for district for disbursements, and clarified bylaws in case of a conflict between the LD and county bylaws. So that's a list of what will be discussed or covered. So the first one is the removal procedure for PCs. So really, this is pretty straightforward. Is that, and I'll kind of summarize what's here. Is that we really don't. The county party really doesn't have a fully fleshed out due process if a PC is removed, and that's problematic for a variety of reasons. It's problematic because this is a kind of a serious thing to actually have to remove a PC. So what the new language that's going to be in this bylaw change will do is that it will create a comprehensive list of grounds that define causes of action. So this would be, what are things that would could happen that a PC would need to be removed. Right now, that doesn't really exist. It could be, I don't know, you didn't laugh at one of my jokes, something like that. Itemized list of procedures that provide a roadmap for removal. So this is basically the due process aspect. Procedure outline for how district board meeting is to be conducted. So if this were to happen, then it's the process and procedure to conduct business with this. It also includes the executive committee of MCDP, and that's for a variety of reasons. If like the PC in question is like the chair, for example, those type of things. And then of course, depending on like how egregious the issue is, it allows for suspension of the process depending on like the severity of what an individual does. If you're wondering what a severity is, it's currently in the bylaws that if you commit, if you're convicted of a felony, you would be removed as a PC. So that would be kind of a situation where it's like, okay, person did this, they went to court, they got convicted of a felony, and yeah, they're out. So we're not going to go through all the other process because of the severity of it. So what I'm going to do, just because of for time's sake, I'm not going to read all this stuff verbatim. I'm just going to give you kind of like the overview. You'll have it in the chat so that you'll be able to read this at your leisure. But pretty much what you're looking at the other slides is that it just gets into what the causes of removal are. Then it breaks down the removal procedure for a PC. It breaks down how the board meeting process would take place. It also goes to if this needs to be handled by the executive committee of MCDP. And then it breaks down what the requirements are if they're going to have, we'd have to suspend the process and go to an immediate scenario. So the next part is pretty straightforward. In the current bylaws, the language affirmative action is all over the place, like affirmative action moderator, things like that. The thing is that that's kind of a dated word for that particular position or that particular role. So it's simply just going to change it to equity. Anywhere you see affirmative action, it's going to change that to equity. The other updated name is parliamentarian. So currently the position within MCDP is sergeant at arms. That's actually going to be changed to parliamentarian because it just really just better reflects what that job is than when you kind of think of what a sergeant at arms does versus what a parliamentarian does. The next one is updating stuff for the budget presentation. So basically what it does is that it's just going to allow the chair or treasurer to include the phrase or their designee. Currently, as is written, the chair has to present the budget updates for MCDP, and in practice, it's often the MCDP treasurer or the MCD executive director. So the thing is that technically, by happening that way, we've been out of compliance. So that'll just allow the MCDP president to then designate someone to just go through all that. Let me see. An update to our standing committees, and pretty much really what it does is just kind of adds a language that this kind of reinforces that the MCDP chair can add additional committees, but these are the ones that are always happening. Let me see. It breaks down open meeting laws, clarification of distribution. And then so the last bullet point is in case, and this is a pretty straightforward one, in case there's a conflict that LD has bylaws, the county bylaws are superseded. In our case, it doesn't matter because LD 11 doesn't have bylaws, so we just follow MCDP's bylaws. So if an LD hasn't had their own, if there's ever a conflict, it just kind of spells out what happens. And that's everything. So those are the bylaws that will be discussed at the next at the upcoming summer convention. I've talked way too much, and so I'm going to go ahead and move things on to our first vice chair, Dave Braun.
Thank you, Patrick. And my understanding is that this meeting, the county convention, is for all PCs. You don't have to be a state committee person. And the meeting is, I don't know if I should say hurrah or not, it's in person. You've got to actually physically show up. No more of this Zoom. You get to touch the flesh, see, play politician, see who's gained a lot of weight during this 2-year hiatus from reality. Anyway, the legislature has really not been doing much publicly for the last 2-3 weeks. They're still negotiating, the Republicans, that is, the state budget, and that will be undoubtedly handled in a 2 or 3 day orgy of 24-hour-a-day meetings and hearings and overnight sessions, in which they typically do. I'm quite fearful, however, that some very bad bills concerning elections and things of that sort, and just generally Republican bad bills that died during the legislative session will come back, a la Dracula from the grave, because they never die. And we may have to prepare for some referendums and or initiatives to stop these bad bills from either becoming law or actually replacing them with law that we think is appropriate. Just as a general aside, it turns out that next week is the 50th year anniversary of Watergate. Now, I know most of you, or a big chunk of you, were not even born during Watergate, but I was. I was in law school and was fully immersed in the detail of the 50 corrupt members of the Republican and Nixon administration that were doing all sorts of nefarious things. If you don't know the full details, it's worth it, because there were so many crimes committed. I mean, there were enough crimes committed that the sitting attorney general went to prison, and a whole bunch of other lawyers went to prison, and which was certainly a comment about the practice of law. And it just seems so appropriate that Donald Trump is equally as corrupt, or perhaps more corrupt, than Richard Nixon was. I've been getting the impression from various interviews that people are not going to be all that surprised if the Attorney General files sedition charges against Donald Trump within the next year or so. What happened on January 6th was just outrageous, as we all know. I'm sure all of you are already planning to watch the hearings tomorrow night. They start early for us since we're 3 hours behind, of course, but they should be interesting. And maybe will remind us all what we're fighting about. For those of you who are candidates or working on various campaigns, I have more and more come to the conclusion that basically the best defense that we have is to go on the attack the GOP. I've been watching the various commercials from various Republican senatorial candidates and Republican gubernatorial candidates, and all they talk about is fixing the border. And I keep on saying to myself, well, they've only had a Republican governor for 14 years. They've only had the Republican legislature for 40 plus years. They've only had the Attorney General's office for the last 12 years. What the hell have they been doing? And that should be the response. I think the best defense for our candidates is going on the attack. It's an off-year election and the first election of a president, and traditionally it's a tough road to hoe. But we can actually turn that around by going on the attack. And Patrick, that's all I have for tonight.
All right, thank you, Dave. Next up is our second vice chair, Jennifer Rouse. Jennifer, you're still muted.
Sorry. Okay, so first up on here, SPCs, we are asked to volunteer. I understand it's summer. you've got vacation, just every little bit counts. So we have a survey. We were asking everybody, PC or not, just to get involved and let us know if you've got time to pitch in to help canvas one thing or make phone calls. The other thing on here, and I was just looking this up again because, March for Our Lives, it was student led. And I'll just say this as a mom, it's been very difficult to constantly have to give more mature conversation with my kids, because it seems like it's happening so often that there are mass shootings. And not just that, but now they've got smartphones and they're getting news updates about local shootings that there was one this past weekend that made national news because there were so many shootings in other cities. So there's going to be a march this Saturday, June 11th. I know it's a very busy day for many of us. It'll be at 5 p.m. down at the Arizona State Capitol. So again, this started as student led. I do hope to see that we allow the younger crowd to show us the way and lead this march. I'm going to try to make it myself and bring a couple of my kids with me. And finally, we have Canvas and Lit Drop opportunity this weekend and Saturday, June 11th. So again, early in the morning, so you can start and end the day walking. We'll be meeting at Cesar Chavez Library parking lot. Again, I've got my water bottle right here. Please make sure that you're staying hydrated. Bring a cap, sunglasses, and wear appropriate clothing so that you don't get heat stroke. So we are in a heat advisory. So every little bit counts. Try to make it out if you can. And we hope to see you there. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Jennifer. Let me see. Secretary, I know Dan is, I think, in transition getting over here, but just sharing for him, if you're not following us on social media, and if you do social media, you should, because we have a lot of great information that we share on our social media handles. And yes, our website is coming. It's being built even as we speak. It'll be amazing. And we will definitely announce it when it is ready to go. All right, Shams, our treasurer, you're up.
Good evening, everyone. So we received about $136 contributions in May through ActBlue. And we would like to thank Ms. Keisha Washington, Ms. Kathleen Pettigrew, Isabel Chavez, Nikita Ross, Ms. Rosie Lopez, and Joyce Baird. Our expenses were $344.71, which included our monthly Zoom meeting fees, as well as Google domain, MailChimp, and web hosting fee. Our MCDP yearly due has gone up from annual yearly due has gone up from $500 to $750. So we have an installment plan with MCDP. We just paid the first of the 3 installment of $250 this month in May. Our campaign finance report is going to be due on July 15th. And as usual, I will submit that on time. And thank you everyone for your donations. And please sign up for the one-time or recurring donations at the following link that we are going to share soon. And as always, thank you very much. Back to you, Patrick.
All right, thank you, Shams. Next up is our Sergeant at Arms, Randolph Lum.
Hi, it's Randolph. I just wanted to mention that we're having a Maricopa County Deputy Registrar training. Here's the information. There's several dates for the training. There's training on June 24th, August 14th, and September 11th. So we'll keep that information posted. Thanks. I'll have the report.
Patrick, you're muted.
All right, it's gonna happen to me eventually. So got to the elected offices part of our meeting. Do we have any elected officials who would like to provide a report to the LD? Please unmute and go for it.
LD 11, this is Marcelino Quiñones, your state representative. Let me just thank you for the last 3 months. I've been sending all of my reports to Chair Brown, and then also connecting with our seatmates, Leader Bolding and Leader Rios, in regards to my updates. I was teaching a class at South Mountain Community College, so I just wanted to explain that right off the bat. In addition to everything that Dave has been talking about, which is a great legislative update, I will tell you that as a caucus, what we have been advocating for is more investments in education without vouchers. Additionally, we've been advocating for a $100 million investment in the Arizona Housing Trust Fund because of the issues of individuals finding themselves unsheltered. And then additionally, we've been asking to be brought to the table in regards to the water conversation. So that's what's going on. Other than that, what I'd like to share is that our caucus has also taken a very active response to the gun violence incidents that have happened over the last 3 weeks, unfortunately here. And we have been advocating for red flag bills. Those have already been written. It's just a matter of them being brought up to the table. And so a number of us have spoken about those red flag bills during public participation, and the Republicans have yet to take that into account. So just know that we will continue to push for those red flag bills. What they would do is, if an individual has a history of violence, they will not be able to obtain a firearm. So that's what we're also working behind the scenes. And as always, if there's anything that I can do to be of support, I will again include my information in the chat. And if there's anything that I can be of assistance with, let me know. Thank you, Patrick.
All right, thank you, Representative. Let me see, do we have any questions in the chat? All right, any other electeds that would like to report out to the LD?
Hi, good evening, everyone. I'll go ahead and jump in. Senator Rios here. Good to see all of you. I think Marcelino did a good job hitting the high notes. We're in day 150 of the legislature. Monday, we finally got a copy of the proposed Republican budget. And it was essentially handed to us, and we were asked to please shop it to our caucus and let them know what we thought, but still no true ask to actually negotiate. It's a $16 billion budget, but I will tell you, one of the largest items that they have in the budget, in fact, it's the 3rd largest item, is over $500 million for border security. Border security expenditures far outweigh any money they have put aside for K-12, for health and safety. I mean, it's ridiculous, right? It is the go-to every election year. So they're putting like $344 million into building a fence. I mean, it is just ridiculous. There is $1 billion in the budget to set aside for water. The logistics, the how-to, the details of how that water will be expended and what agency will have authority has not been worked out yet. There's deep disagreement between the governor's office and the Senate, Democrats and Republicans. And I'm sure the House Democrats have some of the same concerns, but at least the money is in the budget. At the end of the day, I mean, I've had a lot of meetings and folks have said, okay, so what's going to happen, right? At the end of the day, are you guys going to be brought to the table on the budget? If ever there was a time where they had to work with Democrats, this is the year. However, I will tell you, they've made no secret about not wanting Democrats on the budget. They want only Republicans. The problem is they have 3 in the Senate that are very difficult to nail down. At the point at which those 3 cannot be bought off, then maybe we'll be brought to the table. But like I've told my caucus, the cost of bringing Democrats on is going to be close to $1 billion for K through 12 education. We're not willing to consider ESAs. And right now what they have on the table is full ESAs for everybody, regardless of income level. And that would be a massive hit to the general fund, you know, if that were ever enacted. So I guess the long and short of it is we remain more than willing to go to the table. Our priorities will continue to be public education. We are opposed. They want to put yet more money into SROs. Our concern is that I don't know if now is the time to put more guns in schools. At a minimum, I believe we should allow the local school boards to decide if they want to use that money for an SRO or a social worker, but we shouldn't only provide money if they're going to get SROs. As Marcelino said, the House has been working on sensible gun reform. In the Senate, we forced a vote through procedural moves to put them on record with regard to bringing up a vote for background checks. Simple as that. And that died on a party line vote. Republicans are adamant about doing nothing with regard to gun reform. The day that we spoke about the tragedy in Uvalde, they all got up and they blamed it on lack of religion in schools, transgender kids, abortion, you name it. I mean, talk about deflecting and red herrings. This is the mindset of the folks that we're dealing with down there. But again, at the end of the day, if they can't get their members in line, we are more than willing to step up and vote for a budget, but one that truly benefits public education and Arizonans. So with that, I will answer any questions. And like Marcelino said, if ever I can be of any help, I'm there. Marcelino's there. I know Reggie is available. So just give us a call. And thank you all.
All right, thank you, Senator Rios. I see Esther Lund has her hand up. So Esther, why don't you go ahead and unmute and ask your question?
Thank you, Patrick. Just want to mention that, Rebecca, you said that they are providing all that money for the Border Patrol security. And I want all of you to know that the ones that we need security from is the Border Patrol. Many of you may know that I'm co-chair of Uncage and Reunite Families Coalition, and I volunteer at the Welcome Center every week. So I come face to face with the asylum seekers that are coming in. And I want you all to know that we just this week wrote a letter. Our attorney prepared it with input from all of us about the fact that the Border Patrol in Yuma is confiscating everything that the migrants have, including birth certificates, passports, religious items, clothes, watches, any kind of jewelry, even a wedding ring. So I find it ironic that they're going to provide more money for the border patrols and security when they're the ones that are doing the illegal actions. This is against every state, federal, and international law, what they're doing in Yuma. And we are, as advocates, we are addressing it with everyone, including the Congress people, Mayorkas, and just anybody you can think of. But I just wanted to say how ironic it is that all that money goes to them when they are the ones that are stealing from the migrants, and all of that is so illegal on every aspect. So just wanted all of you to know what's going on. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Esther. Do we have any other questions for Senator Rios at all?
Yeah, I have one quick question. Senator, what would all that money go to? What would it be used for?
So there's 344 million for a border wall. Then there's some for, I would need to get to the whole list. I will do one better. If anybody's interested, I will send you a copy of the actual budget, all 300 lines. You can see exactly where they prioritize their money. Just if you want to drop your email in the chat, I can mail that out while we're on the line here. I'll send that to you, Dave.
Thanks.
All right. Bonnie, I see you have your hand up. Go ahead, unmute, ask your question.
Senator Rios, is it not true that a majority of the land that they're planning on building border wall is both federal and indigenous?
That is a great point, Bonnie, and one that I've made time and again, especially with the media. This is all, it's red meat for their base, because at the end of the day, this is a federal issue. It needs to be addressed at the federal level. And all this money to build a border wall, you're right. There are areas where it's private land, where it is inaccessible to build a wall. So you are always going to have gaps in this wall, no matter how many feet of it you try and build. And so it is ridiculous. It is a true waste of money. And again, it is purely political. It's what their base loves to hear, especially at election time. And so they will do this and they will put money into this every year as long as it gets some points with the base. But you're right, there is no way to complete a wall that doesn't have gaps in it, and it's not effective anyway, right?
So we need to push that point. You know, that border wall, they're taking money that they can't even spend on a wall. Thank you, Senator.
Thank you, Bonnie.
All right, we'll take one more question. Do we have any other questions for Senator Rios? All right. Do we have any other electeds that are on the call that would like to report out? Elected officials going once, going twice. Okay. All right. Continuing on with our agenda, we're going to kind of move into our special guest aspect. So I know for you guys who got the text alert and email and everything, Chris Mays was supposed to join us for our meeting tonight. She is the candidate running for state attorney general. I got a text from her a little while ago. She was actually flying back to Phoenix and her flight got delayed. And so she's stuck in an airport somewhere. And so she's not going to be able to hop on with the meeting. So we're going to work to get her rescheduled and have her, attend an upcoming meeting. With that being said, we're going to move on to our second special guest. And before I get into that, I just want to just kind of explain how this process works. As you guys know, we do have a primary election coming up, and LD11 is neutral when it comes to contested primaries, contested elections among Democrats. We do not endorse a specific candidate, and any information that we share is meant for just general information for the LD and the electorate as a whole. For any individual who is running for office who would like to speak at one of our meetings, I just need to get an email or phone call or text or something like that at least 24 hours before the meeting, and I'll of course add you to the agenda. That individual will get 5 minutes to just do their thing, take questions, things of that nature. So that's pretty much how this process goes. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and turn the floor over to Shams Abdul Samad. I'll probably know who she is. She is a candidate for state legislature for LD11. So Shams, the floor is yours.
Good evening, District 11 Democrats. Most of you know me as your elected treasurer. For those of you that don't, my name is Shams Abdul Samad. I'm running as a clean election candidate for Arizona House of Representatives from this District 11. Thank you, Patrick. Thank you, board, for giving me this opportunity. So why am I running this office? When I started my campaign, my first priorities were education, voting rights, infrastructure, and more. Since that time, we have had the Supreme Court leak on Roe v. Wade. Women's rights became the forefront. Then came the horrific shootings in Buffalo, New York, the Taiwanese church in California, and most recently, the elementary school shootings in Uvalde, Texas. We all thought we had seen it enough. According to the June 5th National Public Radio report, our country has already experienced 246 mass shootings this year. Let me repeat the number, 246. too many of these shootings are racially motivated. This country is broken and we need to fix it. We need sensible gun control. In Congress, our Democratic-led House has already passed major legislation to address this. It is now up to the Senate. Candidates, PCs, and all citizens must push the Senate to do the right thing. As your state representative, I'll work with fellow Democrats and like-minded Republicans to legislate and enforce sensible gun laws in our state. I will also work to ensure women's rights are not infringed upon. We need to move forward, not backward. I have a love for education. It is a core building block of our community and our nation. My activism in quality education will never waver. Currently, the Arizona Republican majority lawmakers are trying to pass the budget of $16.8 billion for the upcoming fiscal year starting July 1st, as Senator Rios mentioned. As usual, schools are their lower priorities. Only $259 million is allocated in spite of the requested $550 to $800 million. On the other hand, like Senator Rios mentioned, $544 million is allocated for a border security fund, which would pay for the fence constructions along the Arizona-Mexico border. And like Ms. Bonnie Lynn suggested, most of this Arizona-Mexico border area in tribal and federal land. As your representative, I'll work with fellow Democrats and hopefully will be the majority to increase educational funding, including teacher salaries negotiated by their union, affordable and accessible quality education for pre-K to college level, and reduce or free access to good quality daycare for working parents. We also need to improve our infrastructures to attract more businesses and tech industries to our LD11. Infrastructures and education goes hand in hand. With improved education, partnering with the tech industries, our LD11 youth workforce will be ready. I'll work to provide internet Wi-Fi for those businesses, our schools, and the new normal at-home workers. The bipartisan infrastructure bill that was passed will give Arizona $76 million to build electric car charging stations. As your representative, I will work diligently to make sure these new charging stations will not bypass our LD. Lastly, our democracy is under attack. We need to stand up together. American democracy is voting rights. The Arizona Republicans cheat. They have created every scheme, device, and gimmick possible to prevent minorities, young voters, and Democrats from voting. According to the Arizona Republic, more than 100 Republican-authored voter suppression bills have been introduced since January. My goal is to preserve democracy. I am committed to make voting easier for every citizen of Arizona. I'm running clean. You, the voters, are my only concern. I'm here for you. I will listen to you. If you have any question, please visit my website, shamsforaz.com. I'm one of you. I'm involved as a board member, as a community organizer, and as a longtime resident of this LD. I'm asking for your support and your vote on August 2nd primary. Thank you. And remember, mail-in ballots will be going out on July 6th. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Shams. We have some time for a few questions. Do we have any questions for Shams? Okay, questions going once, going twice. Okay, all right. If you do have any, Shams, if you drop your campaign information into the chat, so folks, think of a question or anything like that, they'll be able to contact you for that information.
Thank you, everyone. I'll do that.
All right. So moving right along with our agenda here, just have one update from for MCDP. Let me share the screen real quick here. All right, and we mentioned this earlier, the MCDP Summer Convention is happening Saturday, June 25th. It will be at Central High School. Registration is now open, and also part of it is you have the option, of course, purchasing lunch at the convention. I believe it's $10. PCs, please attend this. Like I said, it'll be an in-person meeting. I know there have been some questions about whether, a hybrid option will be available or not. I'm waiting to hear that just like everybody else. I know that's kind of been floating out there, but as of right now, it is an in-person meeting. So, like I said, I think it's a really important opportunity to, one, of course, have a say in our bylaw changes. But I assume that we're going to probably have a lot of our candidates that will be running for office. They'll have an opportunity to interact with them. We have the link. We'll go ahead and drop that in there. And just to be clear, any Democrat can attend this meeting. So if you're a PC, yeah, you definitely need to go as part of being a PC. If you are not a PC and want to kind of see how this stuff kind of works, you can attend. So we'll drop that link in the chat. All right, next up here is, let's get to our guest speaker. So we have Amber Cruz. She is with Mission for Arizona. So go ahead and Amber, give you some time to talk to the LD.
Hi, everyone. My name is Amber Cruz. I'm one of the regional organizing directors of Mission for Arizona, the Arizona Coordinated Campaign. I've been here since last year of September. We've been organizing specifically since July of last year, helping elect Democrats at all levels of government. As Patrick has mentioned earlier, because the primaries are on August 2nd, we can't endorse any specific Democratic candidates until they're announced after August 2nd. Wherever the outcome may be. However, we are focusing on talking to voters on the ground on the importance of this year's elections. As we know, midterms are known to be historically low turnout, and it's super important to activate people and talk about not just the importance of electing Democrats specifically, but the importance of their vote this year and talking to them about the issues they care about, whether it be healthcare, economy, education, infrastructure, etc. So that's what we've been doing since September. My turf in my regions encompass LD11, LD22, 26, 24, 25, 23 now with West Valley and 29. I'm very excited and I find it very important to organize right now earlier than ever and mobilize voters and volunteers across these regions. We have a couple events coming right now with our weekend of action that will happen June 25th, June 26th. As mentioned before, unfortunately, Politico did release a draft leak of what the Supreme Court is most likely to decide. And these next upcoming weeks when it comes to Roe versus Wade, I'm hoping for this best turnout situation, but we don't know what's going to happen for sure. So that weekend of our weekend of action, we will focus on reproductive rights and target voters that care about reproductive rights and mobilize them as well, because it's super important to, one, help elect Democrats, but two, focus on issues that voters care about this year. So we will have that weekend of action because it's really hot outside. This weekend it's 115 degrees, 116 degrees. We mostly have morning canvases, and a lot of situations and low bar, what we like to call low bar events, are virtual or volunteer appreciation events for the summer. If you have any questions, please let me know. I will drop my contact information in email. And yeah.
All right, thank you, Amber. Do we have any questions for Amber? All right, so we've now moved into the announcement portion of our meeting. If you have any announcements for pretty much anything, this will be an opportunity. We please ask you to keep your announcement time to 1 minute. Otherwise, I'll do the mute thing and that'll be that. So please unmute, recognize yourself to the group, and make your announcements.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for allowing me to speak. Thank you, Patrick Brown. I really appreciate it, Chair. And to all the fellow PCs, I really appreciate the opportunity to speak to you today. My name is Wesley Lisi, and I'm a candidate on the ballot for House of Representatives in the district coming up. I wanted the opportunity to introduce myself to many of you. Some of you I know, some of you I don't know. So obviously I like the opportunity to get to know you better. A little bit of history about myself. I'm from Mississippi originally, oldest of 8 kids from a poor background, raised up on pretty much government aid and funds. Had the opportunity, got a chance to attend Mississippi State University, got a chance to get drafted here by the Arizona Cardinals, So I played with the Arizona Cardinals for a couple of years, involved with community with my college and also community outreach here with the Arizona Cardinals. After my retirement there, I decided to go to a small business for myself. So I've had some experience there and also with some nonprofit housing organizations because that's very dear to me. I will tell you a little bit about the platform I'm running. I know the time is limited. We're running on education because it's very important to me. I'm from Mississippi, and as you well know, Mississippi and Arizona going 49 and 50, 1 year up, 1 year down. So that's very important to me coming from a very small community with little resources. So I totally understand and I get that about education. Healthcare is another one of the issues that we're running on. I recently had a heart attack here a couple of years ago, didn't have the funds to pay for that. Also, my father died in Mississippi because he didn't have access to the right health care at age 5. So I've been through a rough part of it. Also, jobs and infrastructure. Here in District 11, I want to make sure that the jobs are here for us here in this district and also for our kids. So I want to run on a platform.
Wesley, sorry to interrupt, but like I said, got a hold of you.
Okay,
One
you got it. Okay.
We could set up a time for you to
Okay,
kind of get
okay,
more
okay.
in depth.
I totally get it. My mistake on that. But again, I'll leave my information at the bottom, and I hope I get a chance to speak to you guys a little bit more about what I'm running on and some interest in as far as who I am, and also connecting with all of you as well. So again, Patrick, I really thank you for the opportunity to speak to you briefly here. And thanks, everyone. I look forward to speaking to you sometime in the very near future.
All right, thank you. All right, any other announcements?
Hi, this is Janelle Cavero. I just wanted to announce that we're having a marijuana expungement legal workshop this Friday, which, if you allow 15 to 30 minutes per case record, anyone who's eligible for expungement, we're providing a free legal workshop with anybody who had a possession of up to 2.5 ounces of flower, up to 12.5 grams of concentrate, up to 6 plants for personal cultivation, and any all marijuana paraphernalia as defined by Prop 27. Helping out our district matters now more than ever, not just as a candidate, but more importantly, what we could bring to the community. Please share this information. I'll put it in the Slack chat right here if anybody wants to share it. Thanks so much.
All right, thank you, Janelle. Rodrigo, I see your hand up.
Yeah, hello, everybody. My name is Rodrigo Palacios. I'm a resident of LD11. I'm also the new Community Action Team coordinator for Save Our Schools Arizona. We started a community action team in the South Phoenix, Laveen area. I know one of the vice chairs mentioned the canvas this weekend at Cesar Chavez Park. Just want to reiterate, we'll be there at 9 at the Cesar Chavez Library, and so we're going to be canvassing the neighborhoods around the park. So if you're interested in helping out, and if you're interested in promoting public school proud candidates, we invite you to be there Saturday morning. Thanks.
All right, thank you, Rodrigo. Nismus, I see your hand up.
Hi, thank you, Patrick. Thank you, everybody. Really quick, I'm going to be doing a community fundraiser, district-wide fundraiser for a few candidates in about a week or two. So please look for that announcement and make plans to attend to support these candidates. Greatly appreciate you all. And thank you, each and every one of y'all, for getting off of the sidelines and running for office. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Any other announcements? And I'll take you guys' silence. There's no more announcements. Again, thank you guys for joining us for this LD meeting. Again, like I said, lots of information. If you miss anything, please subscribe to our newsletter. It comes out every week. Also, tons of links in the chat. I won't shut down the meeting like right away so people can capture those if they missed anything. But as always, thank you for spending some time with us, getting updated and involved with what's going on in our community. But most importantly, please, be active in this process. If you can canvas, if you're able to knock on doors, hand out lit, we need you. If you're able to do phone calls, do phone banks, we need you. If you're willing to do text banks, we need you. If you're willing to cut checks, we need you. The point being is that this is we always keep, we kind of use a term like, oh, this is the most important election. The thing is, all elections are important, and we need to treat elections as such. So as Democrats, as people who are engaged in our community, who are engaged in this process, this is the time to address all the issues that we're facing in Arizona. When the election's over, when we're in the next, legislative session, it's too late to address those issues. It's happened. We're now living either with the success of what we do, or we're living with the consequences of our inaction. So this is the first stage in the process for us to enact positive change for our community, for our LD, and for the state of Arizona. So we're going to make sure that you guys are informed of everything that's going on, all the opportunities that are out there to be engaged wherever your level of engagement and comfort is. And I look forward to seeing y'all, working with y'all, and making this state the best version of itself. So good night, and we will see you next time.